are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome into this live edition of the Uptempo Podcast, a pop-up live edition because we have breaking news. Four-star defensive lineman Donovan Moore has officially become the second commitment of Auburn's 2027 high school class. And this is a big one for Auburn. New coach Alex Golesh for a lot of reasons. Everybody always talks about when a new coach comes in, establishing yourself, establishing that recruiting territory in the state of Alabama. He talked about it in his opening press conference. What better way to do that than go out and get the number one player in the state of Alabama? So we're going to talk about it real quick. Won't be too long of an episode here, but we got to discuss it, man. Big time commitment for Auburn. Get in here, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new and it's your first time, and share this video out on social media. You can tag me at DMcShaw28. I see some of y'all filing in here, man. Good to have y'all. Smash that thumbs up button. Let's get to it. Donovan Moore from Hueytown, Alabama. 247 has him ranked as the 141st player in the country, the number 17 defensive lineman. They have him as a number 5 player in the state of Alabama. Composite rankings have him as the 72nd player in the country, the number 5 defensive lineman in the class, and the number 1 player in the state of Alabama. Had offers from every big school you could imagine. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, Missouri, North Carolina, Florida. Everybody was in on Donovan Moore. But honestly, this is a name. Even James Franklin, I see here, the Virginia Tech Hokies, and James Franklin offered him January 29th. James Franklin, a good recruiter. He's going to have Virginia Tech. I'm so used to saying his name along with Penn State. He's going to have Virginia Tech recruiting in that top 20 every year. So getting in there and getting this one across the finish line, getting in the class, it's big time for a lot of reasons. And Auburn's been high on Donovan Moore for some time. Coach Williams and Coach DJ Durkin have wanted him to be a part of the defense. But even though those guys remain and they're still on staff, when you have a new head coach come in, when you have a new GM come in, there's a lot of discussions that have to be had. You know, how much did the other staff value him in terms of money? Did those conversations change? What kind of player are you looking for? You know, like, so there's in terms of like character and all that, does he match up with all of that? So there's a lot of conversations that can be had. You can look at it and say, well, it's the same defensive line coach. It's the same defensive coordinator. Was it really that hard to pull off? It definitely helps. It's definitely, you know, in terms of if you just had a clean house, you'd be completely starting over. But still, when you bring in a new guy at the head position, Donovan Moore has to figure out if that's a guy that he wants to play for. And then Alex Golesh and Warsaw and those guys, they have to figure out, is this somebody that we think is going to fit? He's such a football player. You turn on the tape, and we will have this film breakdown for our members come out tomorrow. When you turn it on, you see explosive and athletic freak. There's one play from his sophomore huddle film where he just jumps up and intercepts the ball and takes it to the house. And that he's 6'4", 285 pounds, has that quick burst, very athletic. So that's why every school in the country wanted to get Donovan Moore into their high school class. So that now makes 2 for Auburn. You've got Trey Proctor, the 3-star tight end, and you have 4-star Donovan Moore. We get some quotes from him. These are according to the guys over at 247, I do believe. Let's see. Donovan Moore speaking on Vontrell King Williams. He says he's a great coach. He's going to tell you straight up. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's just going to get you to the next level and, more importantly, make me a better man. In his sophomore year in Hueytown, he had 58 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions, and he returned both of them for touchdowns. Again, go check out his huddle because those plays are very athletic. It's hard to not get excited. More traditional, hand in the dirt kind of defensive lineman, and Auburn needs those. Auburn, we know what it is in the SEC. We know the games are won in the trenches, and you're going to have to continue. You just had a very nice defensive line class. The last high school class, or really the one before that, the 2025 class, was really loaded. Some of those guys like Antonio Coleman have since left. Other guys like Jordan Crawford, Malik Autry, you're expecting them to kind of, take that next step this year and be big parts of the defense. So, and then Jared Smith out there on the edge. So, like, you've got some young talent in that room, but you got to kind of keep stacking it. And this is going to be a very important defensive line class for Auburn. Going to be a very important high school class for Auburn. Really interested to see what these guys can build. This is a good sign. This is a very good sign because, look, Donovan Moore's liked Auburn for a long time. He's liked Coach Williams. He's liked DJ Durkin for a long time. But Auburn, as we know, like there hasn't been a lot of wins there. And Donovan Moore has been recruited by Auburn the last couple of years. So he's kind of seen firsthand how bad some of this has been. And so, one, you need to feel good about this is a kid that wants to be at Auburn because he's been very clear about that. And also that Auburn was able to kind of block out all that noise, and that new staff was kind of able to sell him on the vision, because that's going to be what a lot of this is with this 2027 class. You're going to have to kind of sell them on the vision because there's not going to be any proof of concept until the ball gets kicked off versus Baylor, obviously. And we've talked about this before, and everyone we kind of saw this happen last year. You have to have your high school class built. For the majority of it's got to be built before the kickoff of the opening season. And if you're Auburn, you saw last summer how Auburn lost in a lot of big recruitments that kind of fell behind. You can't afford that to be the case here. Auburn's also been crystal balled for a 4-star quarterback, Israel Abrams, who some services have as a top 50 player. We did a pod for our members on Monday where we said, hey, Donovan Moore, expect that very soon. Didn't have an exact date on it. Not going to say that I knew it was going to happen today, but we let our members know, expect Donovan Moore very soon. And we also did discuss Israel Abrams. So if Auburn's able to get that one announced here very quickly within the next week or two, then you're looking at the number one player in the state of Alabama and a big 4-star quarterback that's a top 100, top 50 player, according to some services. You're going to start talking about Alex Golesh and the staff having some recruiting momentum. And we have these questions, and rightfully so. And it's a question. It's not doubt, at least not on my end, but you have the question of, can Alex Golesh recruit with the big boys in the SEC? Well, you got a pretty solid win here. Pretty solid win here to get the number one player in the state that your cross-state rivals would have loved to have. School over there in Georgia would have loved to have. And again, a lot of big-time programs getting involved in his recruitment. So love this for DJ Durkin. And look, it's time that we know what it is by now. Vontrell King Williams is a monster on the recruiting trail. He's got the development piece. And I did an episode a couple of days ago talking about the guys that got invited to the Combine. Auburn had 6 players invited to the NFL Combine. 3 defensive linemen. So Coach Williams can sell that. I got 3 guys going to the Combine. You come here, I develop you, I put you in the league. One of those is Keldrick Falk. He's going to be a first rounder. Another one, Kieron Crawford, came in from a G5 program, and Auburn developed him and is now putting him into the pros. So not to mention, just a couple of days ago, a former Auburn defensive lineman showed out and had a strip sack in the Super Bowl and another sack. He had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl. He put on a show. So there's a lot that you can sell right now if you're Auburn in terms of defensive line. Now you just got to put those wins out there, because ultimately these elite athletes want to come play for winners. And that's one thing that Auburn has not been able to provide over the past 5 to 10 years. But Alex Golesh, a lot of what he's going to have to do with this class, again, because you got to have this class built up for the most part. There'll be some moving, but the foundation of this class is going to be built, because the foundation of everybody's class, the way the calendar currently sits, is going to be built before opening weekend. You at least need to have 10 to 15 commitments, at least. So here we are in February 12th. We've already got 2 crystal balls to get the quarterback in. Well, you get that done in the next 7 to 10 days. And we're really talking about some momentum, some momentum for Auburn recruiting. And then you start getting some of these commitments, and you still got official visits coming up. You still got Big Cat Weekend, later on down the line. So there's an A-Day coming up. So there's still a lot of big opportunities to make a dent in this class. And this is one thing before I get to some of you guys' comments that you cannot forget about here. This coaching staff, they're kind of behind. Like some relationships will translate. There were some guys that they were recruiting at South Florida that they can now continue to recruit at Auburn. But they're still new on the Auburn job. So in some ways, they're still fresh and they're still behind in a lot of these recruitments. I think that right now I'm impressed with the two guys they got. And I think that you're going to see more start to roll in here very, very soon. So I'm impressed so far by what we have seen from this staff. And it's not going to surprise you because what we've learned very quickly about Alex Golish is that we hear all the time about his work ethic. And you hear people that don't have a dog in the fight, the Josh Pates of the world, who have no reason to lie about Auburn, right? For him to come out and say, nobody's going to outwork Alex Golish. And every head coach and every staff says that. And you hear that all the time about guys. But this is one of those where no one's actually going to outwork him. And you already see the work that he's putting in, going to these training facilities, going with these 7-on-7 coaches, going to the high schools, meeting with everybody, and kind of getting that foundation set for what he's trying to build here at Auburn. I'm so excited. I'm so impressed. I'm not even really going to try to hide my excitement for what this could be. And it's kind of funny. You know, there was a comment I was on with Mike G last night on the War Report, and somebody commented like, Dustin's being so positive. I said, listen, just going to be honest, right? Didn't believe in the last coach. And I think we all saw why as time went on. So hopefully I end up being right on this one. Really believe in Alex Golish and what he's been building. This is a big get for the Auburn Tigers. And again, for our members, you need to sign up for these memberships because this is not a shock. This is not a shock to up-tempo members. If they watch the podcast on Monday, we told them this one was coming very, very soon. So sign up today, man. $3.99 a month will get you in that JV squad. $5.99 a month will get you in that varsity squad. The film breakdown on one Donovan Moore will drop for you guys tomorrow. Let's get to some of the comments. Everybody should be fired up. A commitment on a Thursday night for the Auburn Tigers. My guy Eric Coleman says, let's go, War Damn Eagle. Let's go, Eric. Let's go, dude. Auburn landed the #1 player in the state of Alabama. You go from a coaching staff and a head coach who I'm going to be like, I'll never take it away from him. That last staff, that last head coach, they could recruit. And you're right back here getting the #1 player out of the state. You got to feel good about that with a new guy coming in here. That's big time. A lot of G5 jokes going on about Alex Golish a couple months ago when Auburn first hired him. I think he's showing you very quickly he can come in here and win these battles. He is an SEC level head coach. Now, only time will tell for sure. But in terms of like recruiting chops and all that kind of stuff, man, you're coming in here and you're beating out the elite of the elite programs to land a top tier talent like that. Brett says, what's up, Dustin? I'm caught up in the softball game. How's that going? How is that going? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. How are the ladies doing in the softball game? Auburn baseball starts off tomorrow. Super fired up for that, and we will definitely have some content coming out with that as the season goes on. James Barnett, Dustin, my dude, let's go. James, happy to see you, brother. You are a member, so stay on the lookout for that film breakdown coming out tomorrow for you, bud. Happy that you're in here, always supporting the show. And Brett says, this Donovan Moore kid went to a rival of yours. So Hueytown, the Hueytown Gophers, right? Are they Golden Gophers? I might just used to saying that from Minnesota, but I did see where they're the Gophers or something like that. That's pretty interesting. So, yeah, Brett, a big Hueytown guy, he says. What is his overall ranking? Wondering if he'll break the top 32 by December. Let me see here. Overall ranking, Brett. According to 247, his overall ranking is 141. His composite is 72. And then I also have his rivals ranking here on my phone. Give me just a second for that one. Get to his rival ranking here. I see that Chambliss is going to get a 6-year at Ole Miss as I open up my phone. That's pretty crazy. I don't have his rivals. Maybe y'all could let me know in the chat what his rival. I thought I had it bookmarked. Let's see. I know I got this somewhere. Rivals has him as the number 52 player in the country, the number 5 defensive lineman as Rivals and on 3. So, yeah, Brett, as a 52nd player in the country, I definitely would say that cracking the top 32 is a possibility. He just has to have a big year. have a big senior season, obviously show out, ball out, do your thing at the camps, but being committed to Auburn, people are going to have a lot of eyes on him now. So let's see what he does. But yeah, Brett, definitely a possibility. He's only 20 spots away from it now. So big senior season, and absolutely he could definitely crack that top 32 and get that 5-star. But look, you're talking about a top 100, top 50 talent already. That's big, and we know how important recruiting in state. You cannot let a 4-star defensive lineman that you were in the driver's seat for, you can't lose that one. So again, this recruitment was already, Coach Williams and DJ Durkin were doing a good job before Alex Golis came along, but there is a bit of a reset. And you look at some of his quotes that Donovan Moore has in speaking about Alex Golis. He's bought in. He believes in the vision 100%. Devin, good evening. Devin, how are we feeling? I'm sure you're watching the softball game as well. How are we feeling about the new 4-star commitment coming in to the Plains? Brett says it's okay if they're a little behind. Making relationships this year may work to our advantage next year in the portal. 100%. 100%. And yeah, I'll stand by what I said the other day on the member pod, Brett. I know you watched it. I still think Alex Golis is going to land the top 15, maybe 12th. I really anticipate like 14 to 12 range for this high school class. So yeah, that would be very, very impressive for sure. Fly Butch says, hype that video, hit that like button. Best news I've heard all day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I checked out that whole thing that you got going on there, by the way, buddy. That is cool stuff. Watching videos on YouTube and everything after we got the off of the live show the other day. That's interesting, bro. You got a lot of balls, man. You got a lot of balls. Like I said the other day, I won't even ride the rides at the county fair. So that's awesome, though, bud. Total Package says defense shouldn't be behind in recruiting, especially the front seven. 100%. Like I definitely hear what you're saying here. But again, you have to consider the general manager aspect of college football nowadays. Will Redmond was a person that had a lot of influence on personnel decisions beforehand, and I believe I saw where he just took an NFL job. Now Warsaw comes in, so there does have to be discussions about, does he match the vision? What is the NIL package going to be? Like all of those things. And then look, even for defensive guys, the Falks, Keldrick and his brother are a great example of this. They play defense, but Hugh Freeze was critical to those recruitments. The relationship that Hugh Freeze built with their parents, with their mother, was critical to getting both Falk boys to Auburn. That's the truth. So even though he didn't play for them, or he didn't, they're defensive players, they're not part of Hugh Freeze's offense. Still, that's the head man running the program. So I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you where like they do have a little bit of an advantage because they're just at the same school, they're in the same spot. But if Donovan Moore doesn't like Alex Golis when they meet and they don't hit it off, or he doesn't hit it off with Warsaw and all them, then it doesn't matter. So that's what I say. Like you are a little bit behind in some of these recruitments compared to the Alabamas of the world, or you could Vanderbilt or Georgia, just insert whatever SEC school has a returning coach. And like same thing for Florida, same thing for LSU, like in terms of, in the same boat as Auburn, like just being at your new school and starting with some of these recruitments. So yeah, I mean, again, the relationship that he had built with Coach Williams and with DJ Durkin plays a massive part in this, but he had to hit it off with Alex Golis, and they had to fit into the vision of what the general manager and all that wanted as well. So it's not just as easy as saying, well, we already liked him. There's kind of a reset that goes into it. And there's a little bit of a start over there. Brett says, Dustin, I will be in Dallas in 2 weeks. I'm taking my kids this time. I'm assuming you're going to a Stars game. That's awesome, buddy. And while we're talking about hockey real quick, Team USA opens up the Olympics today with a 5-1 victory. Let's go, boys. Any more comments we're going to get to before we get out of here? I think that's going to wrap it up. Brett says it is 1-0 in the top of the fourth for the Auburn softball team. Love that. Good stuff. Hopefully they're able to pull out a dub there. And hopefully the baseball team gets off to a solid start this weekend. I think they will. Excited to see the new pitching rotation and a lot of the new pieces out there. And then the returning guys, like obviously Chris Rimber, potential to be the best player in college baseball this year. Super excited for that. Love this commitment, man. Donovan Moore, and Brett says, I need a running back commitment soon. Look, there's a lot of running backs in that room, but I think they're gonna add running backs to every class, Brett, because they are definitely showing that they want a lot of bodies in that running back room. Still got some young guys with Alvin Henderson, Omar Mapson. It'll be interesting to see kind of how they attack the running back room in this high school class. That will be fun. Donovan Moore, second commitment of Auburn's 2027 high school class. I absolutely love it. You should be fired up for it. Don't let anybody tell you that high school recruiting doesn't matter anymore. Has the importance of it shifted? Is there other ways to build teams now because of the transfer portal? Yes. But it's February 12th, and you should be excited if you're an Auburn fan that you just got the #1 player in the state of Alabama, a 4-star defensive lineman, a consensus top 100 player, decided to commit to Auburn today. That's always been something that you should be fired up for. That has never changed. So thank you guys so much for being in here. Like the video, sub to the channel if you're new. We're dangerously close to 3,000 subs. Let's make this happen. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Uptempo Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in for this quick live show. I love you. God bless. Have a good rest of your week. And War Damn Eagle.